Okay, so we could probably do like a top 50 of 2021. These recent years have so many movies that we've seen and loved, but let's try to stick to a top 10. I will give, once again, one honorable mention. Although there's a bunch of movies I wish I could honorable mention here. My number 11 is Red Rocket, which is, I always love to shout out a Sean Baker movie. He makes very cool movies about people who don't usually get movies made about them. And this one's about a porn star who runs out of money, comes back to his hometown, and gets people real upset. And that porn star is played by Simon Rex in just a wonderful return to the spotlight for him.
Agree. Yeah, I really like that movie as well.
And my number 10 is The Card Counter, Paul Schrader's second in his angry, sad solo man trilogy. This one's with Oscar Isaac as a former soldier who is now a poker player, and he takes Ty Sheridan under his wing. He and Ty Sheridan have both been in one way or another traumatized by a commanding officer. And it's also about Oscar Isaac's relationship with Tiffany Haddish. It's interesting. I like that she was the female lead in this movie because I feel like in a lot of movies like this, Black women don't get to do that, and she's great.
Yeah, number 18 on my list, so I liked it a lot too.
Did Red Rocket make your list at all?
Did not make the top 20, but that's also just a statement on the strength of 2021. It would certainly be probably like the top 25, though.
I think you don't like my number 9. It's called Don't Look Up.
I do not like that movie.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think Adam McKay political comedies are actually underrated. And this one came out during the pandemic, and I think people were not interested in hearing about allegories that could be connected to the pandemic, although this one was pretty explicitly about climate change, which is why Leonardo DiCaprio is in the lead. He's very interested in this topic. He plays against type here. He's a frumpy scientist who learns the world is going to end because a comet is coming. Jennifer Lawrence plays his accomplice in trying to get attention to this. I think she's the one who actually discovers the asteroid. And then Meryl Streep plays like a slimy version of the president. Kate Blanchett plays a slimy version of like a daytime talk show host. Mark Rylance plays an amalgamation of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. I really like it. I connected with what it was trying to say, and I was very upset by it. And Timothée Chalamet has a cool little bit in it, too. I think people really don't like Jonah Hill's performance in this movie.
Yeah, I thought he was kind of funny.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I like this more than most. My number 8 is Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley, starring Bradley Cooper, also starring Kate Blanchett. This is a remake of the Tyrone Power starring version of Nightmare Alley that came out forever ago. Both are good. This one stars Bradley Cooper as a guy who sort of comes out of nowhere, joins a carnival, learns how to con people, and then uses that force for evil. He hurts all his friends. Actually, Willem Dafoe is in both of these movies, too. He's in Don't Look.
Yeah.
This also. Toni Collette plays the woman who teaches him how to be a con. And then Kate Blanchett is sort of his foe. Rooney Mara is the girl who he takes advantage of. It's just great. It's like great slime. Mm-hmm. My number 7 is The Worst Person in the World. This is a Norwegian film. It was directed by Joachim Trier. He's not related to Lars von Trier. No, because von Trier and Trier are different words.
They both spell and pronounce their names differently.
What is that from?
Simpsons.
Yeah.
It's when Mr. Burns goes, Simpson, or I wonder if this Homer Nixon is related to, or what is it?
To Richard Nixon?
Richard Nixon goes, unlikely, sir. They both spell and pronounce their last names differently.
I say that a lot, and I don't remember where I heard it. It stars Renata Rentz. I can't pronounce her name. She's excellent as the titular worst person in the world. Although if she's the worst person in the world's in pretty good shape. She's just a mess, and she screws up her relationships, and watching her do it is awesome. So my number 6 is one that has an asterisk on my list because it's an episode of a miniseries, but it is feature length. Adventure Time, after it ended, they did a miniseries called Distant Lands. There were like 4 little movies, and 2 of them were excellent, and one called Together Again. And it's, if you know anything about Adventure Time, if you don't, watch some of it at least. It's like one of the best animated shows of all time. I do a whole podcast on it called Flooping the Pig with Kevin Ford, who was recently a guest on this podcast. Together Again shouldn't have been the finale of Distant Lands, and it takes place in the far future where the main characters, Jake and Finn, meet up again in the afterlife. It's great. My number 5 is Licorice Pizza, Paul Thomas Anderson's teen movie, I guess, kind of. Someone's a teen in it, with Cooper Hoffman as a 15-year-old entrepreneur and Alana Haim as a girl he meets while auditioning for something, and their weird connection that really upset my wife. But for me, it was part of a good movie. Got big performances from Sean Penn, Tom Waits, and Bradley Cooper in this one. Benny Safdie puts in a solid performance, a little extended cameo. And then Skylar Gisondo as Alana Haim's first love interest is also great. This guy, I think, should be the biggest star in Hollywood, the biggest young star in Hollywood. I love him. My number 4 is Spider-Man No Way Home. It's probably a little high on this list now in retrospect, but really like it. It brought all the, spoiler alert, modern live-action Spider-Man together again. And it's just a good story. I enjoyed a lot. And it was the first movie I saw in theaters post-pandemic. It's still technically during the pandemic, I guess. And I had a great time with it.
And another Willem Dafoe movie.
It's a wonder why he's on everybody's all-time stats on Letterboxd. My number 3 is Dune. We did a whole episode about this movie a little while back when we ranked and spoke about all of the Dune movies. We got to get to the Denis Villeneuve episode. We got to do it.
I know.
I love Dune. Number 2 is Drive My Car. I am so excited for Ryusuke Hamaguchi's new movie, There Is No Evil, to come out very soon. I saw a trailer for it when I saw Mars Express. Looks great. I think the trailer probably gave away too much of the movie. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but we'll see. Anyway, Drive My Car is about a guy whose wife dies very suddenly, and then he finds out that she was having an affair, and he has an existential crisis while he is trying to put on a multilingual production of Uncle Vanya and his relationship with the woman who drives him around while he's doing that. And then my number 1 is also a little bit of an asterisk, but to me it's a feature film. It's Bo Burnham's Inside. It sums up the pandemic better than anything did. It's a comedy special, but it's not actually all that funny, of Bo Burnham sitting in his room making music and making multimedia experiments while talking about how he feels about being in his 30s, relationships, the pandemic, politics, climate change. I've watched this thing like 8 times now. I'm obsessed with it. And there was a minute where I was like, maybe Drive My Car is really the number 1 movie of 2021, but to me, it is Bo Burnham's Inside.
Well, I'm going to kick my list off. Like you, I'm going to give out just one honorable mention. But again, there are so many honorable mention movies I could have listed from this year. I thought there were a lot of really great movies, a lot that I really loved. My one honorable mention that I want to point out is Tick, Tick, Boom. Was directed by Lin-Manuel Miranda, was a retelling of Jonathan Larson making the play Tick, Tick, Boom. Jonathan Larson was played by Andrew Garfield, and probably the best Andrew Garfield performance that there is. He's so delightful in this movie. It was just such a great performance, and I just really, really enjoyed that movie.
Boy, I don't agree with any of that.
You said that was like the only movie you liked Andrew Garfield in.
So I have since seen Under the Silver Lake, which is so much better than Tick, Tick, Boom, and so much better a performance from Andrew Garfield. I'm coming around on him, by the way. That's where I'm setting. I think when I saw Tick, Tick, Boom and said that, I had just seen the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus and was so upset by everything that I just didn't want to. Annie hates Tick, Tick, Boom, and it's just really depleted in my estimation.
I still really enjoy it. I only saw it the one time when it came out, and that's my memory of it. Annie Horse puts us down at number 10. We're going to have a lot of overlap here, so just get ready for that. My number 10 is The Worst Person in the World. Echo a lot of what you said about it. The performances are terrific. It's a really interesting, well-written movie. My number 9, this feels a little bit low, but I have Dune at number 9. I do think it's excellent. Again, all the things that you said about it are true. The sequel is probably a little bit better, but this is still really great. Villeneuve can really do no wrong at this point. My number 8 is the Steven Spielberg West Side Story remake. I love West Side Story. I love both of them. I think the remake is really well done. I love Rita Moreno playing a different part of that. I thought that was really clever casting. Really like both of them, and I thought Spielberg did a great job with the remake. My number 7 is a film from Iran by Asghar Farhadi. It's called A Hero, and it's about a guy who's put in prison because he has a debt that he's unable to repay, and he is given a leave from prison, and while he's on leave, he basically tries to get the guy he owes the debt to, he tries to get him to withdraw the complaint from him, and things kind of go awry from there. There was some controversy about this movie that maybe Farhadi had stolen the idea from one of his film students, and then I think that case was thrown out or something, and it was a little bit hard to follow. It's hard to, I don't know, I just really want to like the movie, okay? I just want to like the things I like. You know, so A Hero's going to stay number 7 on my list, all right? And that's just the way it's going to be.
Major Holdovers energy here.
Exactly, right? Same sort of thing. Like, oh, come on. Like, can't we just like the things we like? Okay, that brings us up to number 6, the aforementioned Licorice Pizza. Yeah, I love Paul Thomas Anderson movies. I think Cooper Hoffman was really good in this. I'm excited to see what he does next. Has he been in a movie since this? I don't recall seeing him in anything.
Oh, he's in that new movie Wildcat.
Maya Hawke.
Yeah.
Directed by Ethan, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, okay.
Ethan Hawke has never directed a great movie.
That's true, someday.
Not this day. Not Wildcat, apparently.
Bummer. I know there was a little bit of an ick factor with the relationship.
For me, it's like, I think you're supposed to feel kind of grossed out by it, and that's okay.
Yeah. My number 5 is also one that ranked on your list, Nightmare Alley. Love this movie. I haven't seen the original yet, but I believe it's on the Never Did It list for later. Bradley Cooper's performance in it was amazing. Also thought Kate Blanchett was, and she's always amazing, not news, but I thought she was particularly great in this. Everybody's really good in it. The atmosphere is great in it. The score is amazing in it. The sets, I mean, the costumes, everything in it is just really great. And of course, you've got Willem Dafoe classing up everything that he's in. And number 4 is a very small movie. It was directed by Fran Krantz. It's called Mass. It takes place all in one room. Stars Martha Plimpton, Jason Isaacs, Ann Dowd, and Reed Birney. It is 2 sets of parents who are affected by the same tragedy. The one set of parents were the parents of a school shooter, and the other set of parents were the parents of a victim, and they get together to basically have a conversation, and it's about an hour and a half of those 4 people having a conversation. Very difficult, but very, very well done. I like those movies where they kind of all take place in one room with a small cast of characters. This is one of the better types of movies like that.
Fun fact about Reed Birney, actually 2 fun facts about Reed Birney. 1, he's the star of Crime Wave, one of the worst movies I've ever seen, by Sam Raimi. And 2, he is the uncle of Albert Birney, the director of Tukes and Fanny and Eyeballs in the Darkness.
I did not know that. And my number 3 and 2 are going to be pretty familiar because you mentioned both of them. My number 3 is Hamaguchi's Drive My Car. Yeah, beautiful movie, really, really well done. Very excited to see his new one, as you are. And then my number 2, I feel like you definitely didn't rate it too highly because I have Spider-Man No Way Home. Just a super fun theatrical experience to see with a big crowd. Again, it was kind of, I had seen some movies during the pandemic because I don't live in a gigantic city like you do. So I was able to see some movies in empty theaters, and it wasn't the first one I saw, but it was definitely the first one I saw with a big crowd. It was fun. It tied a lot of different things together. It was very satisfying in a lot of ways. Got Marissa Tomei in it. I love Marissa Tomei in just about everything she does. And I think Tom Holland is a great Spider-Man.
I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. And also, speaking of Andrew Garfield, that was a better performance than Tick, Tick, Boom also. Actually, Andrew Garfield in Spider-Man No Way Home is so fun. I mean, he does the most.
He does, yeah. He definitely makes the most of it. I just like how he and Tobey Maguire just seem like they're just happy to be there. It worked out. It was one of those things that like it would just seem like a cool idea on paper, but like, yeah, that won't work. But then it actually did work, I think, really well. I haven't seen it in a while, and I'm curious if it would hold up as well, but I just have really, really strong memories of it, and I thought it just worked out better than you could have ever expected it to.
The second time I watched it was not as satisfying as the first, but it's still in my top 10 list. I see people posting like single shots from it to show that the compositing is bad, which is something that I'm guilty of complaining about a lot too, but
yeah,
sometimes I'm just like, shut up.
Yeah. Yep. And then my number 1 is Jane Campion's Power of the Dog. I really thought this movie was excellent. I guess kind of an anti-Western about a rancher. What's his name?
Benedict Cumberbatch?
Cumberbatch. Yeah, gosh. Wow. He was also in my number 2 film of the year. Benedict Cumberbatch. He lives on a ranch, and he torments Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons and Cody Smith-McPhee. It's a very psychological film in the guise of a Western. Performances here, I think, are excellent. I mean, Cumberbatch is great in it. Cody Smith-McPhee and Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons, all really great in this. All were Oscar nominated. Thomasin McKenzie has a small part in this too that she's very, very good in. Always like seeing her pop up in things. And that was my number 1 movie of 2021.
It's not on my top 20 list, but I do have it rated 4 stars. I liked it quite a bit. It's what I like about it is also what kind of works against it, in that the last 30 minutes of the movie are starkly different than everything that came before it. They're super interesting, and they kind of make the movie, but a lot of people, I think, didn't like how long it took to get there.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
Yeah. All right, cool.